One of the most common themes of the Zelda series is that of isolation. From the very beginning of the series' roots, Link is warned it is dangerous to go alone, and yet he must undertake the challenge by himself in order to defeat Ganon. Throughout the Zelda series, we see other instances of this. In Breath of the Wild, Link is isolated in a world that has changed over the 100-year time period he has been kept asleep in the Shrine of Resurrection. In Skyward Sword, he must venture to the surface in pursuit of Zelda, exploring a vast, unknown world essentially by himself, and in the majority of the 2D titles, Link must carry out his task alone. It's a theme that has run deep throughout the Legend of Zelda, and marked the significance of Tears of the Kingdom's focus on teamwork and banding together. In today's video, we're diving deep into Ocarina of Time, and the significance of Link's isolation in its story. It's a theme that runs throughout the game, not just as a personal challenge for Link, but as an essential part of his journey towards becoming the hero of time. But why is loneliness so crucial to Link's journey? How does it influence the choices he makes and his ultimate goal? Let's unpack it in today's video. Welcome back to the Zelda realm. My name is Joe, and I'm delighted that you're joining me for today's video. First up, I just want to say a huge thank you for all the support on the most recent video. I've got my two favourite comments popping up on screen. If you would like a chance to be a part of each video, comment down below your thoughts and I'll pick two of my favourite ones to join me on screen. We're marching towards 1,000 subscribers, and if you didn't already know, at 1,000 subscribers I will be releasing my Tears of the Kingdom retrospective. So make sure and subscribe, like the video, and let's get back into today's topic. From the moment we meet Link in Ocarina of Time, he's alone. It could be very easy to look at a situation in Kokiri Forest and not realise just how lonely he is, but in the world of the ageless Kokiri, Link is different. He immediately stands out as the only villager to not have a fairy of his own, and it's clear almost immediately that Link isn't quite the same as those he lives with. Even Mido goes out of his way to isolate Link because he doesn't have a fairy of his own. That is, until he does.
Hey, listen!
Quick side note, apologies to anyone who might be triggered by the sound of our favourite fairy, but she had to get a shout out. Link, of course, does end up with Navi, who plays the role of Link's companion throughout the game's story, although like Fi in Skyward Sword, is very much more for the player's benefit, and I use that word benefit loosely, than a true companion of Link. That's not to say that there isn't some level of emotional attachment between the two. There's a definite feeling of sadness at the end when Navi departs the Temple of Time once Link's work is done. In fact, the beginning of Majora's Mask sees Link search for Navi. If really that wasn't enough to cement his isolation at the beginning of Ocarina of Time, it's further set in stone once he has made his way through the Great Deku Tree and defeated the dungeon's boss, Queen Goma. The Great Deku Tree acts as a guardian for the Kokiri and was sought out by Link's mother during the Hyrulean Civil War to watch over him and protect Link when he was a baby, and so his death at the beginning of the game signifies the end of Link's ties to his mother, and really the end of his childhood. It's here that Link then sets out from Kokiri Forest into Hyrule, with only Navi for company and an unfamiliar world ahead. Leaving home is one of those emotions that's difficult to put your finger on. In today's society, there are some who will be excited to leave home, while others who find the prospect very daunting and often a lonely experience. As Link steps out from his home of Kokiri Forest and out to the world of Hyrule, there is a sense of wonder and awe from him. This is a world unlike anything he's seen before, packed full of new places to go and danger surrounding him. Let's also not forget that Link is simply a child, having to fend for himself and make his way to Castletown, an area not familiar to him. It's his courage that has always placed him among gaming's top protagonists for me, not phased to carry out the largest tasks where the odds are massively stacked against him. I think sometimes as a fanbase, we forget just how young Link is in some of Zelda's stories, but there's no doubting his place in the Triforce as the embodiment of courage. It's his isolation that forces him to be resourceful and daring throughout Ocarina of Time. After freeing the Deku Tree from Ganon's curse, Link is instructed that he must meet with Princess Zelda at once, only to find his route to her blocked by Hyrule's soldiers, who refuse to let him pass. Rather than give up, Link knows he needs to think outside the box and sneak his way past the guards to reach her. Once he does reach her and receive the Ocarina, which is of course a touching moment, it's back to isolation for him as he continues to carry out the journey destined before him. Fast forwarding throughout the first half of the game, in which Link connects with the members of Kakariko Village, the Gorons and the Zora, a feat he completes as a child, which I feel like is such a key factor in all of this. It's time for him to take the next step and claim the Master Sword from the Temple of Time. After drawing the Master Sword, Link is transported into the Sacred Realm and is sealed away for 7 years. When he awakens, he's an adult, but he's alone. The child version of himself is gone. His friends, his family, everyone from Kokiri Forest is lost to time. The adult Link is isolated not just in a physical sense, but in a metaphysical one. He's now a man who's lived through 7 years of history that he cannot remember. The world has moved on, but Link is left trying to catch up. During his time asleep, he's also missed the rise of Ganondorf, who had been waiting for the Temple of Time to be opened to carry out his big plan. An older Link leaves the Temple of Time to see a castle town completely devoid of life, with Hyrule Castle repurposed to be Ganon's castle and completely inaccessible. There's no sign of Zelda, and the main towns and areas that Link connected with are facing serious struggles of their own. The world of Hyrule is a husk of the one Link once knew, and his isolation is only cemented further. The isolation Link faces isn't just a passing feeling, it's central to who he is and what he needs to accomplish. As the hero of time, he's now carrying the weight of an entire kingdom on his shoulders, and here's the catch: his loneliness isn't something he can easily escape. As he journeys through Hyrule, he meets many characters: Zelda, Saria, Raru, Darunia and others, but each relationship is fleeting. They offer wisdom, help, and sometimes even friendship, but Link always has to move on. His mission, his destiny, forces him to leave them behind. Take Zelda for example. She's an ally, and their bond is real, but their roles in the world are fundamentally different. She's the princess, and he's the hero. Their destinies are intertwined, but there's always a distance between them. It's clear to Link that his duty is to the princess, and in those emotional moments, as she flees Hyrule Castletown, she throws Link the Ocarina, which would be central to Link saving Hyrule. The Triforce is central to the identity of the Legend of Zelda, and in Ocarina of Time, we experience the strongest depiction of the three characters who embody the core ideas and characteristics of the Triforce. In many ways, the three who personify the Triforce are all isolated in their own ways. Ganondorf is corrupt in his thirst for power and was the only male of the Gerudo. Zelda, when captured, is completely alone and trapped because of her identity as the embodiment of wisdom, and for obvious reasons, Link is isolated throughout his journey. Even some of Link's closest companions must separate from him as they carry out their own purpose to save Hyrule. Maybe the most heartbreaking interaction is with Saria, Link's childhood friend and closest companion as a child. She is the sage of the forest and has her own purpose in sealing away Ganon once Link has carried out his momentous task. It's evident to adult Link that in order to save the land of Hyrule, he needs to make these sacrifices. He cannot afford to become too attached to others, but can be safe in the knowledge that he can trust those closest to him to help him when his journey is complete. The constant separation from others is key to Link's growth. He's forced to mature in ways he never would have if he were constantly surrounded by others. It's his loneliness that allows him to look inward and draw upon an inner strength that makes him the hero Hyrule needs. In many ways, it's all of these separations that continue to motivate Link to keep pushing on in his journey. He's not doing this for himself, or even Zelda. He's doing this for every person in Hyrule who has been affected by Ganondorf's regime. He takes on the burden of Hyrule's chosen hero and doesn't look back. Throughout the game, every dungeon, every trial feels like a personal battle. Link isn't just fighting monsters, he's confronting his own loneliness, his own fear, his own growth. The game asks a fundamental question: what does it mean to be a hero? Link's answer, over the course of his journey, is that a hero must be willing to sacrifice everything, even the people he loves. Every dungeon pushes Link even further into the depths of his courage, pitting him up against fiercer foes and more difficult puzzles to navigate. As he goes up against each boss, he has to dig deep into his reserves to overcome the odds. It's a truly impossible task that Link has to overcome, unforgiving and relentless, but over and over again he prevails, clutching onto the hope that one day Hyrule will be saved. This is most evident when Link meets the other sages, the ones who will help him seal away Ganondorf. Each sage, in their own way, represents a different part of Link's identity, his growth and his connections, but none of these sages are permanent. Link's relationship with them is built on a shared purpose, but once their role is fulfilled, they fade away. Take Rauru, the Sage of Light, who gives Link wisdom at the Temple of Time. He offers counsel, but ultimately it's Link who must act, and when the sage finally says goodbye, Link is left to carry the weight of Hyrule's future alone. Each sage represents a relationship Link must let go of in order to progress. This isn't just a physical departure, it's emotional. The game constantly pushes Link to make sacrifices. He leaves behind the Kokiri, his childhood friends, the simplicity of innocence, but every step forward in the journey only makes him stronger. It's the loneliness in many ways that forges his resolve and makes him capable of taking on the burden of Hyrule's salvation. The loneliness that Link experiences throughout Ocarina of Time doesn't just build character, it ultimately empowers him to confront his greatest challenge, Ganondorf. When Link faces the evil sorcerer in the final battle, it's not just a fight to save Hyrule, it's a fight to accept his destiny. The irony is that just before the end, Link must rely on the sages to allow him to confront Ganondorf. Without the bridge over to the castle, there would be no way for Link to cross and make his way to Zelda, and take on the embodiment of power in a quick game of tennis. But all of that isolation that Link has experienced throughout his journey, spread over 7 years and through many trials, leads to the final battle. Ultimately, Ganon's downfall is down to Link's comfort and isolation. This is what he's been used to throughout his journey, so it doesn't faze him whenever Ganon places a barrier between Zelda and the two of them. If anything, it allows him to focus on the goal of defeating Ganon in a one-on-one showdown, an environment he has grown accustomed to. His strength comes from his ability to rely on only himself to fulfill his destiny. After the battle, when peace is restored, we see the bittersweet aftermath. Hyrule has been saved, but Link's loneliness remains. He has accomplished the impossible, but at a great personal cost. The people he loves are gone, and though Zelda offers him a sense of closure, it's clear that Link will never return to the life he once knew. The hero's journey is over, but the price of heroism is the personal sacrifice that never truly ends. So why is Link's loneliness so important in Ocarina of Time? Well, it's because it shapes him into the hero we need. Link isn't defined by the people around him, he's defined by his choices, his sacrifices, and ultimately his ability to stand alone. His loneliness is the catalyst for his growth. It pushes him to mature, to confront his fears, and to take on responsibilities that no one else can bear. It's the loneliness that drives Link to achieve his ultimate goal, to save Hyrule and restore peace to a kingdom that has never fully understood the cost of his heroism. For me, I think it's Link's isolation that makes Ocarina of Time such a timeless masterpiece, still talked about as one of the greatest games ever made. As the player, we form a deep connection with the hero of time. There's no need for us to hear Link speak. We become invested through his actions and his courage. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like the video, comment down below and subscribe for more. What do you think about Link's loneliness in Ocarina of Time? I'm going to flash up a video now for you to watch if you haven't already, and until next week, I've been the Zelda Realm, and I'll see you then.